Oh, yeah. What's that number? Is that number 13?
No, I thought it was 10. No YouTube.
No?
Number 10?
No computer? Go ahead, one second. Amanda, is this streaming? No.
No. It's,
Okay.
number 3? Yeah.
Yeah,
Number
3. Yep.
Due to technical difficulties, the monitors will not be in use this evening. However, the meeting is being recorded. Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Bendo.
Present.
Councilmember Lester.
Here.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Here.
Councilmember Fiamara.
Here.
Oh, did I skip somebody? And President Flynn.
Present.
Thank you. Let the record indicate the presence of Deputy City Manager Phil Ragona and Corporation Counsel Frank DeGranis. We will now have a salute to the flag.
Please rise. Say Pledge Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the City Council meeting, everybody. Beautiful day today. Low humidity for a change. Due to some circumstances beyond our control, Dan had a personal matter, Dan Creighton, and could not be here, so Phil Ragona, our Deputy City Manager, is pinch hitting, shall we say? All right?
You shall say.
Okay, bases loaded. And Dave Fraser also had a personal matter and could not be here, so Amanda is pinch hitting for Dave, so we have two pinch hitters here. Thank you very much, both of you, for stepping up.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's begin.
No problem. Public hearing number 1, local law correcting local law V of 24, amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city officers, their general powers and duties.
I made a mistake here. Phil is going to read the city manager's report. That's on me,
Not a problem.
not on you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As Brendan said, City Manager Dan Creighton is tending to some personal matters tonight and unfortunately can't be here, so I will be doing my best to fill his shoes tonight. Your patience will be greatly appreciated. Thank you. We've had a busy last few weeks until beach season is over and the kids head back to school. This coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Edwards Boulevard, we'll have the Latino night with none other than Tito Puente Jr. It's sure to be a great concert. It's going to be very crowded, so get there early and bring your beach chairs. This coming Saturday night at dark on Grand Boulevard will be the second to last free movie night on the beach, and it will feature the movie Barbie. This coming Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. will be the Historical Society's Arts and Crafts Festival on the Boardwalk. At the direction of our City Council, this was the first year since COVID for the Arts and Crafts Festivals on the boards, and I think they've been very well received by the public and by our residents. This coming Wednesday, August 28th, will be the last of our free summer concert series. The band Foreign Journey, which is a personal favorite, if I have to say so, will be paying tribute to both Foreigner and Journey at 7 p.m. on Lincoln. That's normally a well-attended concert, so also get there early. After that, it's kind of hard to believe that it's Labor Day weekend. At 8 a.m. on Labor Day, September 2nd, we'll have the 34th annual Robert C. McAvoy 5-mile race. At 6 p.m. that day, our lifeguards will blow the last whistles of the season. It's a little melancholy, but it's the beginning of the local summer, so it's kind of a good thing for some of us. Finally, I want to commend a few of our sanitation workers and remind residents to never throw gasoline or other combustibles out with their regular trash. And I say this because last Friday, one of our sanitation crews were working their regular route on East Broadway when a fire started in the back of the truck. This fire was caused by a gasoline can that was placed out with the regular trash. Our sanitation workers, Terrence Harris, who's also a volunteer firefighter, grabbed the resident's garden hose to extinguish the flames, and our sanitation supervisor, or superintendent, excuse me, Devin Parker, rushed to dump the burning trash into the streets. These two workers clearly went above and beyond their duties, and they saved the city's 1-month-old sanitation truck, which was valued at $250,000. Truly heroic acts. I really need to say thank you to Terrence and Devin and all our workers for a job well done that day and every day. With that, I'll finish up because we have a rather lengthy agenda tonight. So with no further ado, I'll conclude my report, and we'll begin with the resolutions.
Thank
and
you,
the
Phil.
items.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, that's no problem. Public hearing number 1, the local law correcting local law V of 24, amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city officers, their general powers and duties.
So on item number 1, it's an amendment to the charter of the city appointing the city controller or comptroller as the city treasurer and detailing the duties thereof. This item was unanimously approved by the City Council at our July 16th, 2024 meeting, but it needs to be voted on again tonight to correct the typographical error. There is no substantive difference between this item and what was approved on July 16, 2024. It was just simply a typo that needed to be corrected in the subsections.
Do we have questions from the council?
Phil, I'm sorry, what was the typo? Do you remember?
Yes, the subsections were E, F, G, and they made a mistake in what they put the E and the G, and they had to recorrect it. The same wording is in there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the council? No. Questions from the public? Okay, that was a fairly easy one. All right, thank you.
Public hearing number 2, a mandatory bond ordinance of the City of Long Beach, New York, amending and restating bond ordinance adopted April 4th, 2023.
So item number 2 is amending the $165,759,695 bond ordinance associated with the sewer consolidation project to state that $5 million of said bonds will not be reimbursed by FEMA or GOSER. FEMA considers work done to the plant immediately following Superstorm Sandy to be a duplication of effort and is therefore de-obligating the monies associated with that work. Our Department of Public Works continues to speak with FEMA on this issue, but the amendment of this bond ordinance is necessary at this time, and our Commissioner of Public Works, Joe Fabrizio, will come up and answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item.
Joe, would you mind coming up and just explaining, we've already gone over it with you previously, but I think you'd probably do a better job than anybody else in explaining what's happening.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I prepared like a brief little summary as well. I'm going to go through that
Excellent.
fast first, and then if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer
Yeah,
them.
thank you.
The resolution authorizes the City Council to amend the amended and restated bond ordinance from April 4th, 2023 to include $5 million in bonds or bond anticipation notes that will not be reimbursed by FEMA or GOSA grants. The original bond authorization, as the Deputy City Manager said, does not change and was based on the premise that all funds would be reimbursed through FEMA grants. So again, it's not changing, it's just that $5 million of the 165 is not being reimbursed. So FEMA deobligated approximately $5 million from Project Worksheet 0309, version 4. The $5 million represents work done at the facility immediately after Hurricane Sandy to bring the wastewater treatment plant back to operating condition. Unfortunately, FEMA is treating this work as a duplication of benefits, as the Deputy City Manager mentioned, and deducting it from our award. The good news is twofold. One, I've had lengthy conversation with Dishes, and they feel that we will get that decision overturned, okay? And the way that and get it re-obligated. And the way we do this is through requesting what's called a version. So version 4 of the project worksheet basically states that it's deobligated. So we're working on what's called a version 6, which will request that FEMA re-obligate the $5 million that they're taking from us. And we will explain in that version of the project worksheet that $5 million was not a duplication of efforts. It was work that was needed at the time of the disaster to make that facility work again. It will bring it back to pre-disaster condition. In other words, we couldn't have done all the work we're doing now with the consolidation project and converting the building to a pump station and abandoning all the facilities. Obviously, we couldn't have done that back right after Sandy. That wouldn't have made any sense. But that's how they're treating it, that it's a duplication of benefits. So in other words, that was a waste, that we shouldn't have done that work. That was necessary. So I know it may be a little confusing, so I'll open it up to questions.
So, it's not really a question because you've explained it, but I just want to make sure I understand it, that we are not borrowing this money at this time, but we are waiting.
Again, it's the $165 million in the bond authorization. We're just saying that $5 million of it is not going to be reimbursed.
That's right.
That's what
Okay.
we're saying. Whereas the previous version said all of it is going to be reimbursed through FEMA grants.
Right.
That's all this is saying, is that $5 million is not. But I'm telling you that we are going to fight this, and I think we're going to
Right.
be...
And the likelihood, and not to put
Right.
words in your mouth, but the likelihood is that we should prevail.
Correct. And secondly, another important point that Ian and I discussed is that through the IMA with the county, they are responsible, the county that is, to pay all the debt service on the facility through the revenue collected from sewer rents. So what happens is when we turn over the facility to the county, they're supposed to collect the revenue from the sewer rents. However, any debt on the facility, we will keep collecting, even if they take over the facility, we'll keep collecting that rent to pay down the debt service. So if we have to spend this $5 million, that'll go into the debt service at the plant. So right now, the debt service at the plant is about $15 million. So say this $5 million that we're talking about doesn't get paid, it would be added to the 5. Now we would be at 20. But we would collect revenue from sewer rents until all debt is paid. Okay. So, I mean, ultimately in the long run, it's going to be addressed, but this is really a short-term fix because the way it works with the process right now is that the contractors that are working on the site submit a bill. I submit that bill to FEMA to get reimbursed. Well, right now, for the first $4 million or $5 million, they're not remitting payment. So we borrowed money that I'm not getting the reimbursement to pay back. That's what's happening right now. Right. So once I hit the $4 or $5 million deduction that they're imposing, I'll keep the money will start rolling in on the award.
Okay.
Does that make
Yes,
sense? I know it's a little confusing.
I think so. Questions from the council?
Joe, I get really confused on when it gets turned over to them. They collect the sewer rent. We keep the same sewer rent. It's based on what we
will get this at some point. Like right now, we collect sewer rents, and
but we determine the rent right now.
Right now, we determine it. That's correct.
Correct. At
And
what point do they start to determine the rent?
The way the IMA is written is that when the switch is flicked and the waste starts getting pumped over to Bay Park, that they will start collecting the revenue. However,
Not collecting, I'm asking about the determining
they,
of it,
it
because
will
that's,
only be, well,
that's what is really worrying me.
Dude,
Because if they say,
I see
we
what
have to
you're
pay
saying,
the
okay.
debt,
I see what you're saying.
and we're going to just ask the people for it,
I think they'll be able to determine the rent in the agreement. I have to check, quite honestly, but it would be once you flick the switch. They have the it's going to be their system. They're going to be maintaining it. They're going to be 100% responsible for it. We will be out of the sewer business.
I understand that,
Right.
except the taxpayers will be paying for it, whatever they determine. And we are,
Yes.
as I understand, we are also our own sewer district, once
Yes,
they have it.
They will
So-
have total control, but we will
Yeah.
be out of the sewer business.
Right, but if
Correct.
they have to pay an additional 15 million in debt,
5.
what, no, 5 plus, you said
There's 15 million in debt service right now, roughly,
Right.
approximately.
Yes,
So
That's right.
potentially, there could be
20 million, yes.
Right.
But we collect the revenues and pay down the debt service.
But we collect the
Then
revenue.
they won't get any revenue until that point is,
Right, I understand that, but they determine
Yeah.
what the revenue will be.
I believe that's correct.
That's what scares me.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
That's just part of the agreement. Unfortunately, they're going to be maintaining the system. They get to determine the rates. There's no like fixed fee or stays the same rate for 5 years. It's not set up that way, unfortunately.
I understand that.
Yeah, no, okay. Yes.
Wouldn't the revenue or rate be equivalent to any other municipality in the county?
I guess it would be similar. I don't know offhand. But they would set it just like they set any other rate. But we won't have those controls anymore because it won't be ours. It's not our system anymore.
Which is unrelated to the issue we're at hand right now. I mean, it's somewhat related, but
Yeah, I see his point. I
Yes.
see your point.
Okay.
In other words, that they're going to have control over setting the rates to city residents.
I mean, from what I understand, there's nothing we can do about this right now.
That's what I mean. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do about it. It's out of our control. There's nothing
Right,
you can
they
do
set
about
the
it.
rate, is what you're
They set the rate is really, I mean, this IMA was signed
Right.
before I think all of you were here, like anybody
Yeah.
on the council was here, the IMA. And so
Right.
we're kind of bound by it. There's really
that's,
nothing we can do.
that's democracy.
Right,
Thank you.
correct.
Any other questions?
Yeah, and Joe, I think this is, might be impossible for you to answer, but
Sure.
if you had to ballpark it, when do you think we'd get a ruling?
I would think probably within a year.
Okay, that's better
Within
than
a
I
year.
thought.
Yeah, within a year,
Okay.
I would say,
Okay,
potentially. We're working, it's called, I keep saying this word version. That's how FEMA works. Everything, we're at version 5 right now. Version 6 is going to be, version is just another packet of information we send to them. It's called a version. So we're in the process of preparing that request or version and submitting it to DISHIS, who submits it to FEMA for a determination.
Thank you, Joe.
And Joe, normally a life of a bond has to do with the life of the project, how long the thing is good for. Because this is a repair that already happened, do we still get to bond it with the entire sewer project, which is, I think, 30-year or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's 5. All right, thanks.
Questions from the public? Yes. Yes, please. Yeah.
Daniel Schaefer, 30 West Beach Street. Sorry. You had said the current projects that are being done, you're passing the bills through from the contractor to the state. State's paying it. Currently, the $5 million under construction is the part that they're arguing, they're rebuffing that they're going to pay. Is that correct?
They are not paying us. What happened is when we, immediately after Sandy, we did a tremendous amount of work
Okay.
at the plant.
Right.
They paid us out about let's just say $5 million. That's the $5 million we're talking about. Now what they're saying is we actually got awarded $74 million to basically convert that building to a pump station and build a 19,000 linear foot force main. So they basically reduced our award
Okay.
from 78 to 74 million.
Okay. But the project that's going on right now, the first
Yes.
couple pass-throughs that you've sent up to the state to be reimbursed for, that's the part that they're rebuffing right now. So we're
Correct.
not actually physically
So-
getting
so-
that money to pass on.
I'm not getting reimbursed for the money that's
So you're
being spent
passing
right
through our
now.
current balance to place hold until you hopefully get a better judgment in the future.
Essentially.
Okay.
Yes,
Is there
exactly.
any VIG on that?
Vig, you
Is
mean?
there a current interest rate on the money
Yeah,
that
well,
we have to
what
pay?
happened is, what's happening is that's the problem. Basically, it's an EFC.
What is the interest rate?
What happened is we have an EFC loan, which is actually a great loan, because you're only paying on what you borrow. You don't pay on the 165
So there's no
million.
itemization
You
to
only
say where we have
pay,
to spend it
you-
or when, and the hope is that in the future we get the 5 million back and everything goes to zero anyway.
yes.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions from the public? I will close that. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Public hearing number 3, ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding building code and Appendix A zoning.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion for this to be a hearing at this time, and we'll leave it open for a vote at a later time.
You made the motion, I'll second it.
Okay.
We don't have to vote on that.
No.
We could just keep the
You
hearing
can just keep
open.
it open.
Okay.
You're up
Just
to-
keep the hearing
Okay.
open, that's all.
So item number 3 talks about transient rentals. Current state and local laws already prohibit transient rental property in the city of Long Beach. This current amendment expands upon and further details the definition of transient rental properties and establishes a fine structure to adequately dissuade individuals from operating said properties. I believe, Scott, if you want to come up, you may be able to answer some questions first. Thank you. Building Commissioner Kemmons.
Good evening. Like the Deputy City Manager said, short-term rentals are already illegal in the city of Long Beach. We've been prosecuting them for many years. We have several cases already in city court right now. We respond as complaint generated, typically from neighbors complaining, or we get a report from the police department, typically from loud parties, parking issues, quality of life issues that neighbors have to deal with from short-term residents that don't really care about neighbors because they're not really neighbors. So what this ordinance is doing is, right now we use a part of the New York State law, part of our local law. What this kind of is just clearing everything up. It's giving us our tools in the toolbox to continue to enforce them to help the quality of life of our residents of the city of Long Beach.
All right, thank you. And just to be clear, when we talk about these transient, we're talking about Airbnb, essentially.
Yeah, I try to stay away from putting a name brand on it. Any short-term rental less than 30 days. You know, if somebody wants to rent their house for the entire summer, which people have done over the years, they're still allowed to do that. What this is doing is we're Long Beach is an all-year population now. Back in the 70s and the 60s, we had a lot more people just came here for the summer. It was more of a summer-oriented community. Now, it's all year round. We have very few summer rentals, and it just negatively impacts our residents to have these short-term rentals.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we're going to have a question from the council first, and then we'll get to the public. Do we have questions from the council tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Scott, in this ordinance, it says that the city of Long Beach, that these properties, these transient rental properties, pose a threat to the health, safety, and well-being of the residents. What is the data for that?
I don't have it with me. I can tell you we have numerous police and EMS calls. Typically these, whether they be from intoxicated people, loud parties.
But you have that normally from even without transient.
I can tell you, we get a lot of complaints. We don't go after anything without getting a plan. I don't have the manpower to do that.
Huh.
But when a neighbor calls up and says, there's an Airbnb next to me and they're having a party, or the police call us and say we have an issue here, we respond, and if we have proof, we put violations and summons it to court.
Right, but you do have data?
I can definitely get us data
Yeah,
from
I'd
the
like to
police
see-
department.
See the data on that. That's one thing. Another thing is that recently we saw people, some type of advertisement where people could rent their driveway for summer people. That would be forbidden under this, correct?
That is correct. That doesn't, we've talked about it. Letting somebody rent out their driveway isn't going to help our parking problem at the present time. All that's going to do is take a homeowner who's going to normally have their car in the driveway, put it in the street for the weekend, and then rent out their driveway.
Unless they have a double driveway.
Well,
Yeah, all right. I'm going to reserve comments until I hear from the public. Those were a couple of questions.
Thank you.
that I had.
Anybody else on the council? Okay, we'll take,
My only question is, I just want to hear from the public. I know there's many different dynamics to this. There's many different sides to this. We talked about this length, in length before, and I want to hear what the public has to say about it.
I can also tell you that we modeled our code from the city of Glen Cove and the village of Freeport.
okay.
So we're not the town of Hempstead also has similar ordinance in place. So it's not like it's new. It's not a problem just to Long Beach, but it is a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and,
Questions from the,
well, just one thing. So, there's one of the other issues at play here. So, I went online today onto Airbnb and VRBO and counted the number of available rental properties in Long Beach, and between the two of them, it's 147 properties in Long Beach that are currently available for rent. So there's two issues here. One is it's a retiree renting out a room to be able to afford to continue to live here. The other side is, and this is becoming a problem in other municipalities as well, is you have these institutions that come in, these real estate companies effectively come in and start buying up homes and turning them into these short-term rentals as a business. And what actually starts happening is they start reducing the housing stock in a community, which then in turn drives the prices up for the houses that are for sale, for the people that actually want to buy and live in a house, because now they're competing with a large investment corporation that is looking to buy these as an investment to run it as a business, and they're driving the prices up and they're pricing people out of their own communities. So this is a complicated issue, which is why we're going to keep this hearing open and continue the discussion, because there's a lot of facets to this issue that impact the city in a lot of different ways. And of course, to Scott's point, parking is another issue. People rent out these houses and there's 20 people staying in a house. That's a lot of cars taking up parking.
there's no question, it's a quality of life issue that,
Yeah.
and as Chris said, I think it's important that the public weighs in, and that's why the hearing is going to remain open, so that everybody gets, whoever wants to, say something, will have a chance to opine. So questions from the public. Janine.
Janine Laskus, Gillespie, 527 West Penn Street. I am an Airbnb person. I'll tell you why. The mistakes that were done by this council years ago with the lawsuit on the block has now cost me $1,000 a year for the next 30 years. Thank you for, not this council, but for the people that were sitting on this council and the corporate council for not reading the contracts really well, okay? Every budget you have, you go over. We are paying firemen $300,000 for overtime EMT costs. That is going on the taxpayers' backs. We cannot afford it anymore. I can't afford to live in the town that I'm born and raised. Why? Because the mistakes that are being made from this building. And as towards your Airbnbs, I have nothing but families that are coming. Families which your hotels, of which you only have 2, one has become a DSS destination where there's putting homeless people in. You had migrants in there during the winter. Their usage was changed, but I didn't see the city of Long Beach doing anything to stop that usage in the Long Beach Hotel. Then you have the Allegria, $500 a night. How do you expect families that are born and raised here that want to come back for the summer, visit their families, to be accommodated in a hotel room that's the size of a walk-in closet, and they have children? 90% of my rentals are families. They're not young people. They're not raising hell. I have a 4-car driveway. They are frequenting all the restaurants in this town. They are asking where they can go get souvenir t-shirts, sweatshirts. There is a lot of money being generated and pumped into this town from the Airbnbs that are operating. Whether you're talking about down west, your problem was this town didn't look the distance after Sandy. Houses were pumped up. Those people don't ever park underneath their own homes. They park on the street. I don't even know how merchants down west can survive, because you can't park to shop a shop in the West End. You have to walk, bike, or take an Uber. I mean, it's getting crazy that all of you don't understand. You are pricing us out of our own town. And as towards these companies that you think are coming in to buy these houses and do Airbnb, it's not companies, it's your local people trying to survive. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Yes.
This is very intimidating. This is my first time at a meeting. Thank you, gentlemen, for welcoming me here.
Relax, you're among friends, I think.
Yeah. Yes, so just quick introduction.
Just say your name and...
Sure. My name is Tyler Radford. I'm a resident on East Walnut Street.
Thank you.
My wife and I moved to Long Beach in 2020. For us, it was literally a dream to be able to come here. We had spent many years visiting on the weekends. We bought our home specifically because it was a 2-family home. And we calculated that second income from the second apartment, whether we rented on a short-term or long-term basis, would be used to help pay our bills. We carefully considered what we could afford at the time, and now there's a proposal on the table to change that, and I'm very happy we're having a consultation on it tonight. Why? Because this would be a crushing blow to the average homeowner in Long Beach. I think, Mr. Bendo, you pointed out there's 147 of us at least in Long Beach. And over the last 4 years, my wife and I have hosted nearly 100 guests from all over the world. These were wonderful people. I'm not sure where this information about parties is coming from. Airbnb doesn't allow parties. It's specifically against the rules of Airbnb, and we get kicked off the platform as hosts if we ever hold a party. I'm sure many of my colleagues in the room will attest to that I simply don't believe that that's true, and we need to see the data on that links these so-called parties to Airbnb hosts. I simply don't believe that that's a fact. Over the last 4 years that we've been hosting, we have injected literally hundreds of thousands of dollars into the local economy through hosting. So my question, I know this is meant to be a question asked, so my question is, what is the effect on homeowners that are hosting? What is the effect on our local economy in dollars if we suddenly stop this? As I said, personally, we have brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars, not only in Airbnb, not only in the fees generated, but in restaurant visits to our local stores and merchants We encourage shopping and dining locally. And what is the goal of doing this? It just seems like nonsensical. Are we trying to create more housing units? If so, this probably isn't the best way to do that. There's other mechanisms that we could be looking at to do that. So I guess I'll just leave it with those questions is we'd like to see the data on the positive and negative impacts on this before we actually so we can make an informed decision. Thank you.
Okay. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Thank you. I think that the data has to be made more available to everyone on this because I think a lot of this is anecdotal, but there is data in terms of police reports, police response, EMS response, and complaints of noise and things like that. I don't have that data for you, perhaps, and I think anybody here on the dais, I won't speak for them, but I think it's anecdotal at this point.
Yeah, and to add to your point, I mean, there's so many sides of this, and that's why we've talked about this at length. We said this is not something we can just vote on right away, that we have to have a hearing. The only other way to do this in Long Beach is a work session, which unfortunately doesn't allow the public to speak. So this we thought was the best thing because, you know, like to Janine's point before this, who I know a family's been here forever, you know, people are being priced out. There are people who bought a house like yourself thinking, you know, the rental income. There are people who come here that it's job creation. It creates cleaning opportunities. It creates people to come patronize businesses. It's tax revenue. Maybe there's a way to structure this where there's a yearly fee that's nominal to the city. We wanted to hear all aspects of it, and that's why we're holding this hearing today. So nobody should walk out of here with the decision think it was made. That's why we keep it an open hearing.
Sorry, Janine, well, the idea is there's been rules against it in the city for a while. So this didn't occur today or last week. It's been against the law in Long Beach.
For a few years, right? It's for a few years.
Right.
Illegal,
Yeah.
right?
So there
Janine,
really
it's been a
should have
few
been no
years.
input from them because there's not supposed to be B&B Airbnbs here. This is not my argument with you. We're just hearing.
Yeah, nobody's arguing, right?
Right. Yep. Thank. I think you made your point well.
Janine, that's why we asked for data.
Hi.
You know, because
Over there. Thank you.
these decisions need to have data before they're made. What?
Allow me to run the meeting.
Oh, wait a second. He can talk and I can't talk? No,
I'm
no.
asking you.
I'm asking you, when I want to talk, I'm
You
allowed
get to
to
speak
talk.
every time you want to talk.
Okay, then don't interrupt me.
Hi.
Hi. Duran Lyon.
You have to bring it
25
down a
New
little bit lower and I'll be able to hear you. Thank you.
Duran Lyon, 25 New Hampshire Street. I am a five-star superhost. Sorry. I said I'm a five-star superhost. Back in 2017, unfortunately, I had to leave my beloved early intervention and my babies due to illness. I thought I was going to get back after many surgeries and many more things happening. I haven't been able to yet. Luckily, a friend of mine came in and helped me set up an Airbnb account in 2017. I don't make huge money. It's enough to cover my taxes. It is my only source of income. I don't get unemployment. I was in contract through the government early intervention. There's no benefits. And so I've been pretty much blowing through my, my savings. But Airbnb allowed me an extra $10,000 or $11,000 a year. Although my house is open through the whole year, my listing is up year-round. Like my fellow host had said, you make the most money from, for me, June until September. But again, it's enough that I'm able to stay in my home. And for my guests, I'm there. I don't leave. I don't want people in my house while I'm not there. I rent out the bedroom and the attached bathroom. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I'm upstairs, they're down there. But it's connected. I run it like a true B&B. I provide them breakfast in the morning. I'm cleaning up after them. I'm, providing them all their beach equipment. When they come in, I tell them use the local cab because they're cheaper than Uber. I tell them I got Lily's at the top of the block. They're lovely. I'm providing advertisement for the businesses in my neighborhood that I love. I want to stay there. Eliminating this will mean the difference between me being able to pay my taxes and not. That's huge for me. I am one person, I live alone, I have one car, and a little teeny tiny driveway. 75% of the people that come in by train or by car from the airport, by a cab from the airport. And if they can't find a spot in their one car, I give them my spot on the block, and I'll put my car in my tiny little driveway. Was not able to lift after Sandy. The idea, I think most of the Airbnbs that are out of private homes in Long Beach, we're there. I'm not renting out my whole house to other people. I'm there, and I'm renting out 1 bedroom. For me, a month-to-month tenancy, now that person has rights. They can stay, that if they turn out to be horrible, I can't get them out. With Airbnb, I limit. They allow you to limit it to they don't get more than a week. I can take anything for the week, and then they gotta go. And if something happens, I contact Airbnb, and they're phenomenal in helping a host with a guest that, for whatever reason, is not, should not be there. And they have to leave. According to their contract and my contract, I have the right to turn around and say, you're belligerent, you're drunk, you're, disrespectful to my neighbors, you're disrespectful to my home. I have the right to turn around to Airbnb, who then supports me in telling these people, you don't have the right to be here anymore. That's not the case. If I rent out the room to somebody, now they have rights to be there, and now I got to live with them. So that's a big thing for me as well. Like I said, I'm a 5-star superhost, which means 98% of the people that stay at my home have a wonderful experience. Come back again and again because they're comfortable in my home, they love the neighborhood, they love the bars, the restaurants, the shops, they attend the fairs, they rent bikes in the neighborhood, they're buying groceries at the 7-Eleven. They come in and they generate money for the city. And for me, as a host, I provide them a clean and comfortable and home experience. And a lot of them now turn around and say, I'd love to live here. This is a great neighborhood. And they now are potential homeowners because they're looking now at the properties in Long Beach.
That's good. Thank you.
New York State already has a law in place. According to New York State, and I'm sure you know it, as a single...
It's hard to compare us to New York City. That's the problem.
Not New York City. New York State...
I'm sorry. I thought you said New York City.
No. New York State already prohibits you from doing this in a multiple family dwelling, especially in a building. And I got to tell you, the local hotel, Long Beach Hotel, is on. They're one of those 140-something listings.
Right. Okay.
So...
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes.
You are rated. You are rated.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be a superhost.
Yes.
Aren't your tenants rated too?
Yes.
So if they misbehave, they get a bad rating?
For me, I never leave a bad review.
No, but if
they're...
people have the right.
I just had somebody who was terrible. Yeah. I did not leave him a review. And what happens is the next guest or the next host it lists under his name that he's had like 6 days, but he has no reviews. And that's an indicator that
So
this
you
guy
have a
is bad
choice.
news.
You can
Oh,
reject
yeah,
somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't allow kids in my house because upstairs I smoke. I don't, you get to tailor it
No,
to what's comfortable for you. And there are people who rent out the entire house. There are other people like me that not only are we sharing the house, I'm in your face because I'm cleaning up and making coffee and,
Thank
tending
thank you
to-
very much. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, we told them.
back there in a blue shirt there, thank you. I'll get to you next. Last minute instructions.
Good evening. Let's adjust this.
Good evening.
Can you folks hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate you folks. Sure. I appreciate you folks having this hearing, and I've heard a lot of good.
Just if you could give your name, please.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah.
Joe Centeni, at East Walnut Street.
Thank you.
I do appreciate having this hearing, and you made a lot of good comments. And one of the things I'll follow up on the last speaker, you definitely can curate your guests. You can reject them. You can say I only want people who have had a certain number of reviews or whatnot. So you're not going to have bad actors or these 20 people, 20-somethings, not to be too specific, but to prevent people from coming and wrecking the community. One of the things that I think would be a big difference is owner-occupied. Folks who live in the city, have been residents, and responsibly manage their properties, as opposed to, as mentioned before, I believe it was the investment corporations, which definitely are taking housing stock off the market, pushing prices up, and really not being responsible about who and what they allow their guests to do. So I think that's something important I think we should consider. I want to also applaud the actions you folks took on that cut day issue, which was definitely a danger to the community, and contrast that to what we do as responsible hosts. So, we're invested in the community. We want to make sure that, maybe with some kind of licensing for owner-occupied properties, the city fills its coffers, hosts are enriched, and local businesses also have a little bit more coming in. And I'm sure you walked up and down Park Avenue, and there's a lot of places that can probably use a little bit of help from time to time.
Right.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I think that's one last point too is it does make a difference for folks being able to stay in their house. I've been a long-time resident of Long Beach. I love the place, but I do worry in the future, what happens when I retire? Does that mean that my main income stream is gone? And now, what else am I going to do? And another point is some of the housing stock, some of the rentals that happen, folks who aren't looking for just a bedroom to stay in for the weekend. Maybe they have their family they're staying for a wedding or whatnot. That's a service that Airbnb provides. And again, with responsible hosts who allow only responsible guests, I think that's a well and effective way to manage that.
Thank you very much for your input. Appreciate it. Any other questions from the public?
My first time speaking here too, just like the other person.
If you just give your name and
Sorry, Stu Austin, West Beach Street.
Say Watson?
Austin, like
Austin.
the city in Texas. So there's a woman on my block who's Airbnb'd her house for as long as I've lived there. I don't know what it is. Her husband died, I didn't even know how many years ago, and she would have to move for that. I think it's those people who really are, it's not me so much, but those people who really need, I guess, sorry. Those are the people who really need your votes or your help or whatever it is on this issue. And I think the issue is a lot more complicated than we made it. Ms. Bender, Mr. Lester, I thought you had good questions and good ideas, and that was my first question to the council really, the statute says, or the way you have your statute written, it says the City Council of Long Beach finds the effects of transient rental properties other than hotels in the city of Long Beach pose a threat to the health, safety, and well-being of the residents of Long Beach. Where does that data come from, that it's the health, safety, and well-being? Was there actually somebody who was, before the hotels go up, before any of those happens, we have a survey done, we have somebody come in, we have spent a lot of money to have somebody look into to how much parking is, how much water will be used, all those things. Has somebody shown me what the health, safety, and welfare is?
Joe, are you an individual host?
Chris,
What?
we're going to go through me.
Oh, okay.
That-
Can you ask me if it's an individual host or a company?
Well, what I was going to say was that there is data. We didn't bring it to the meeting tonight, but there is data that was presented to the building department. This agenda item, this resolution, came as a result of issues that have arisen. I stated before earlier. What was your question, Chris?
I just want to know, are you a company? Or,
No, I've lived here for 24 years.
So you have an individual?
Lived here for 24 years.
So when you say we
Been-
come in and we survey the water and this and that?
I'm not saying I'm saying before you have a hotel or you have somebody come in, there are companies that the city has paid for to come, not myself, yeah, no, I'm sorry, to come in to make sure that's okay.
Understood.
What Mr. Kemmons seemed to have said is that he has anecdotal data that says that there are more, that there's parking problems.
I said the anecdotal data, but there is data, as far as I know. It's not available tonight, but we will make it available. And that's the reason why this just didn't come out, or someone just didn't dream it up, that, this is a problem in many neighborhoods in Long Beach where people complain about it.
Right.
And that's why it's a big reason why this is taking place. So the hearing is to get all sides of the story, as Chris has said before.
But I think we have to put that on one side and say a parking problem, because when he gets calls that there's somebody saying, I can't park on my street, that neither is health, safety, or well-being, technically, in a very broad sense, of something. Meaning, if he's getting a call because there are loud parties or something else, then there's a way to do that, and we actually have that. We have civil statutes and criminal statutes to stop that,
Yeah.
as well as the fact that if that is happening, I'd like to make sure that the data is showing that it's somebody who was actually a transient rental and not somebody who's come here on the train or who's driven here and who's loud and obnoxious in front of a house. Are there occupancies requirements of how many people you can have? I know Airbnb has them, but the city can have those also, meaning is that you can only have so many people in there. So that was my first thing is, and you said you made it available, so I asked, as I said, to have that done. You also had stated before that there's already something in effect, and we're just building on that.
That's right.
I'm assuming what you're talking about is the 1957 ordinance that was done there. That is not the same as what you are doing. There are very big differences in that. The one that's glaring to everybody is that in 1957, the fine under that ordinance, if there is nothing done now, meaning if you do not pass this resolution, the fine has a minimum of $250 and a maximum of $250. So anyone who is violating that statute with a rooming house, a boarding house, as those are defined, which is not the definition that you are or that the council is proposing, has a $250 fine. The council is now proposing a fine of $2,500 up to $30,000 for the same conduct. So unless the 1957 ordinance is going to be repealed or superseded, you have two statutes where we may fall under the same thing, where it would be in somebody's discretion to fine either $30,000 or $250. And that is, as I said, is not the same statute. There are other differences also with regards to the definition of a rooming house or a boarding house that has to be done, because we don't have those same definitions of what you're calling a transient housing.
The reason for this resolution is that obviously the law was being broken. There seemed to be no deterrent to the law, to people following the law. So that's the reason for this resolution.
But that's the city's responsibility to enforce the act if they have it.
That's correct.
Not to file.
Okay, so as Commissioner Kemmons stated, we needed tools to enforce the existing law. This is not a new law. This is a means by which we can enforce the law.
Correct, but the problem that we have is you're now going to have two laws which overlap each other, Because a rooming in a boarding house under the old law is similar, not exactly in the same definition,
Right.
as transient housing, and unless you repeal one or two of those, you're going to have houses that fit both definitions that could either have the $250 fine or a $30,000 fine.
Mr. Austin, there's state codes, there's a city code, there's a mishmash of things that have been in the past. This is to try and clear that up and to make it definitive. And if somebody is charged, they're going to be charged under this. If it becomes a law, if it does, they'll be charged under that. And then the judge will rule and make a decision as to a fine or as to any liability based upon what's in this particular law. So they won't be looking at anything else, even though there may be other similar laws, if they're not charged with those.
But Judge, as you know, under the rule of lenity, you're supposed to be charged with the lower of the 2 degrees if they are the same, and that would mean that the 1957 ordinance would surpass this one, even though, as I said, this one's a newer law, unless it's repealed or replaced in some manner.
Well,
that's my fear, is that it just hasn't been looked at carefully enough in what you're trying to propose and what the ramifications are. It just needs to be
I think
better
one of the
written.
reasons why they're not going to vote on it, because they want to get input. And listen, if there's something that should be done, it will be done. You know, I mean, it's a good point, and I'm not arguing that with you. What I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of conflicting laws between the state, between the county, and between the city. And what comes before the judge is what he's charged with, and he reads the letter of that law, even though there may be something else out there. So. But that's, that's to be something to determine if this is going to become a law, and if something else has to come off the books, that's just a resolution. That can be had. The issue is, do you want to do it in the first place? And that's what the council's trying to decide.
I agree.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know what, the other people want to get,
We have a lot of
to
people
the
here.
other people here, so
Right.
just
Well,
try and finish it up if you
I guess what I'm
can.
trying to ask the council to do, besides to look at what everybody else has said and the ramifications to the businesses and everything else, is the law as it's written is incorrect and needs to be changed. The law prohibits a Airbnb or somebody from posting on a website. It doesn't prohibit somebody, it also prohibits somebody from having somebody in their house. But you can't prohibit somebody from posting on a website. That's not the conduct that I believe the council is trying to prohibit. It's the actual having somebody in the house. The other problem that the law as written has...
Actually, you've gone way over your time limit. I'm very sorry.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Yes.
Hi, Michelle Greenstein, Nevada Avenue. I'm a single person in a single income home. I do Airbnb a room in my home. I have 1 or 2 guests at a time. I vet them before they come. That money helps me so I can make improvements, repairs, updates to my home. I'm always there when someone's in there because it is open to the rest of my house. I don't want strangers in my house when I'm not there. Most of my guests are coming from out of state or the city, so they don't have a car. I encourage them to use all our local businesses. I get compliments on the restaurants I send them to. I have them take the West End bus. It seems like a lot of the focus is on the negative things. There are a lot of party houses in the West End, and a lot of them that aren't short-term rentals. Just every summer, the people have their friends out and things like that. What I'm doing is not a party house. It's a way to be able to live in Long Beach as a single person with my homeowners, my flood always increasing. I do always vote for the school budget, the library budget, because I'm a teacher and I want to support the community and the people of the community. And it seems like we're being penalized for trying to do something so we could live in this community.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for this, this session. This is a very complex issue.
Just your name.
Sure. My name is John Ferry. I've been a resident and property owner since 1984. I'm on East Walnut.
Thank you.
A lot of the fears that people have on Airbnb are truly unfounded, and that's been brought out by many of the hosts that have come here today. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the data that we're going to see. And I would like very much to see the data, but I would also like it to see the data compared to long-term rental people that are causing the same issues and complaints. I'd like to see how relative it is. Are they a greater percentage or not? I'm betting they're not. And the reason I say that is I have an Airbnb in Florida in a small community with 188 homes, and we had the same exact issue that we're having here, exactly the same. Okay. And there was a lot of people saying the same thing about fearing these people and the craziness and the parties. But because it was a small community, we were able to really dig in and find out where the source of complaints, who they were. And it was not the short-term people. They're gone in a week. It was the long-term people that were causing all the problems. So with the data, please give us a comparison. Are the people that are renting homes, the complaints against them the same percentage or whatever, however you want to measure it? We need to look at not just the Airbnbs that are causing these complaints, but the general rental population. And I think we need to look at that. If you have a short-term rental, they're gone in a week, 2 weeks, or whatever. Long-term rental, long-term problem. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. In the back? Yes. Hi. Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Just
So my name is-
state your name if you don't
Yes.
mind.
My name is Candy McLaughlin, and I'm at 221 New York Avenue. So I received an email the other day, and it was from Airbnb, and it said, City Council is about to have a meeting about Airbnb stays. I've been hosting for 7 years, and in that time, I've met a lot of lovely people. I'm sorry. As a woman spoke before, the Long Beach Hotel is never available. It never is. The airlines have taken it over. It's also a homeless shelter. Okay, so there's never rooms available. The Alegria is also very expensive. So when I get bookings on Airbnb, and I do what the other woman does, I rent out a room also, and I'm also on the property. I get people from Manhattan. I had a district attorney last week, a friend who writes books from Chelsea. They've never been to Long Beach, but they used to have family that lived here. And they loved it, and they loved the properties, and they checked out the restaurants and the bars and the beach. And then I had another couple come, and they've never been to Long Beach. And these are nice people. We're homeowners here. I'm a single mother of 2. My 2 kids are away at school. And the mortgages are high, as we all know. The property taxes are high. I mean, living is hard. No matter how much money you make, it's never enough, right? And we really try. And we give a good service. The hosts, we give good services. I take pride in having almost a 5-star rating. I take pride in my home and giving a beautiful service to tourists. These people have no place to go. They don't. They have no place to go for the weekend. They have no place to go for a week. They have no place to stay. And we all provide a really good service for the community. And it helps all of us live here. I love Long Beach. I've got seashells that say, I love Long Beach. I love Long Beach. We all do. And we help a lot of people. My guests, when they leave, they leave with smiles, and Long Beach is the best place. Long Beach, we love Long Beach. We love the house. My house is kind of zen. It's very peaceful. I make it very peaceful and beach colors, and People love it. You know, I have family that are coming in from Germany. You know, they can't book a hotel because there is no place to go. You know, so like you said, you saw 141 properties. That's all you saw. I'm sure there's a lot more.
Yeah, probably right.
We're only here to help the community. Of course, it helps us pay our bills, but we're not making millions. We just make a little bit, but we help the community. And everybody that I have in my place, either they're from Tarrytown, they're from Germany. I have people from France. We have lovely people. You know, so like the last gentleman had said, you know, when you walk down west, and we all love the West End, of course. I don't go down there anymore, but I do live down there. And the long-term rentals, like rented by the real estates, who knows? I mean, these people that come into our town, it are families, but there's also people that do have those big parties and those big homes that rented for 30 days, you know, but no one's looking at them. You know, we're all just hosts, and we help people. And that's the way that I look at it. I'm able to pay my bills as a single mother. I'm able to help my children up at school. I'm able to pay my mortgage, barely, and be able to keep my home.
Thank you.
And we're also able to have the community for the restaurants, and people love it here.
Appreciate
so
your
without
comments.
us, you know, how are they going to come here to Long Beach?
Okay.
You,
Thank you very much.
all right, guys? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, okay.
It was. They just, when you press it, it tells them.
Hello.
Hi.
Jackie Signorelli. I live on East Walnut, so I'm also a host. Not a lot to say. I just want to say that we can't afford to live here. Nobody can. It's just too expensive. We try really hard. My husband makes a good living. It's too expensive. We found a solution, and that's to rent a room. It's to rent our upstairs, to rent our downstairs, and it helps us, as all these people are saying. It's how we pay our bills. Barely, but it's how we pay our bills, or our taxes. And so, please don't take that away from us. We need it. I mean, without it, there's discussion and we're going to have to leave. My kids are in school. I know a lot of young families. These families are all moving. I mean, my son was in pre-K last year. Several families moved last year, this year, right before the next year, the next school year, to Oceanside, Island Park, because they can't afford it here. So I also wanted to say, we've been hosting for 3 years, and the people are lovely. Like, we have such wonderful guests, really. And there's never been a problem. And I could see the houses that are being bought just as sole rentals. I can see that being an issue. We have some in our neighborhood that haven't been an issue, but I could see why that is. But out of your home, it's not a problem. We're watching these people. We're taking care. It's our space. And we're, like they said, vetting these people. If you look on those listings, I don't think you'll find a host under a 4-star rating. Most of us are 5 stars. That is not easy. It's not easy on Airbnb. It means you're doing it right. You're taking care of your guests, and you take pride in what you do. And so it's like that on Vrbo as well. They're very strict about parties. So if parties are happening, I mean, you're going to get taken down. They won't keep your listing up. So those long-term rentals are more of an issue. Not that that's something you can really control, but those are the issues. Those are the people that are partying. Those are the people that aren't mowing their lawns. I mean, a lot of them, not everybody, of course, but a lot of long-term tenants, they don't take care of the property. That's sort of notorious. But the people coming to pay $300 a night to stay in someone's home for their little beach weekend away in Long Beach, they're paying good money to stay in a nice place. They're coming, they're spending in the restaurants, they're going to shops, they're not cooking, they just want a little vacation away. And a lot of our guests are all relatives of other people that live here. They have nowhere to go. People, you see it on the mom's pages constantly. My mom's coming into town. She needs somewhere to stay. Is there anywhere for them to go? And they rely on those people that are renting out of their houses. So I just want you to consider that.
Thank you.
And think I have one more note. Yeah, I guess just really that. And how are these families going to visit? How
Thanks.
are people going to see everyone, you know?
Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. As when we began this hearing, John made a couple of points, and a few other members of the council have as well, that we do need the data, and we need to present the data. We've discussed the idea of doing a work session, and as Chris said, that a work session doesn't allow the public to speak in the work session, but they can attend and listen, and then, of course, later on, we could always talk about it privately. So I think that's, what we plan on doing so that we can discuss many ramifications of this whole situation. I mean, we obviously have heard from all Airbnb hosts, and, just from my own personal perspective, all reputable Long Beach people, and it seems like it's a good thing. But there are many other viewpoints out there, and we need data. So I think that we've covered a lot in this hearing.
Brendan, I have a question. Mr. Dukranus, where is it currently outlawed in the code?
Roy, probably in the requirements to have a hotel. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that right in front of me.
In business, I believe business A, they...
That's hotel.
Yeah, and that's where you would have a hotel, and that's what you could do that with a hotel.
But you said currently it's outlawed.
Yeah, if you don't have a hotel, you can't do certain things. There may be some regulations in the state code also.
No, I don't. That's why I'm looking at this, and I don't see it currently outlawed.
Yeah, I can lay it out for you, but obviously I don't have anything in front of me right now. So
okay.
If you want during the week, if that's an issue, we can always address that.
Yeah, I just don't like people coming up and admitting that they're violating the law if the law is really there, and I'm looking at it and I'm not finding.
I can't speak for everybody in the council, but I'm sure people are taking their addresses down for that reason.
Yeah, right.
We want to get as much information as we can. I know I do, so I can put something together that makes some sense, and then you people can vote on it.
This wasn't a means to smoke anybody out.
Well, I know, but I don't like people admitting it.
What year was this?
I'm glad they are, because we're getting some information. So this is welcome information. Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Crowell, and I am a resident, a homeowner on Walnut Street in Long Beach. And to Mr. Lester's point, the reason that I am here is I learned that tonight a vote would be taking place and it is effective immediately, and the first fine involves 15 days in jail and $2,500. And the second fine, which I'm assuming is like the second night that you may or may not be hosting someone if you've been turned in by the local police department for having parties, the second fine doubles that. So right away, you're up to being fined $7,500 and then 30 days in jail. So I would love for whenever you get to the point of presenting the law in the code, which I couldn't find either. It's 1,000 pages, and I scanned and scanned and scanned, and I couldn't find it. I say let the punishment fit the crime. It was pretty threatening to read that Airbnb hosts in the community could be thrown in the clink for 15 days to a month.
Those were the maximums that you mentioned, and
Okay.
and certainly the jail time is not really in the realm of possibilities, I would have to say.
I'm just reading what I read, and
Right.
it was written by a lawyer apparently, because the legalese was very specific. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes.
Allison Blanchett. I wasn't going to come here and speak. You guys got my email, but I was. What?
I responded to you.
Oh, you did. I didn't catch it yet. But I felt after hearing this online, I heard the great testimony going on. I felt like I should come here and speak. I actually drove here. I'm admitting that. I drove a vehicle here. There's a few people here.
4 wheels?
4 wheels.
Not 3? Not 3?
No.
Where's that? Where's your bike?
I know, right? And it's a truck too. It's
Right,
for my,
sorry,
my bike's in the back of it. But anyways,
In case the car breaks down, is that what it?
well, you know, you got to get to the mountain somehow.
Right, right.
So pardon the appearance. One thing I'm not hearing is the revenue lost from the city. There are many municipalities, counties, Allegheny County, Broome County, Cattaraugus, I've never even heard of that county, Cayuga.
I will take your word for it.
Other ones
We'll stipulate on the
pronounce.
counties.
There are Erie County, Essex. There are so many counties in this state that have partnered with companies such as Airbnb, and they collect a hotel motel occupancy tax. We've got 2 hotels here. How much are we getting in revenue from, and what is it 4%?
It doesn't apply to us.
Doesn't apply because the state has never passed it.
No, actually it does apply, because didn't I just talk about all of these municipalities in New York State that have partnered with Airbnb?
Airbnb is not a hotel.
It's not a hotel, it's different.
They're partnering with Airbnb hosts.
Yeah.
And those hosts, they're incurring, depending on the county, a 4 to 5% tax.
Right, your question was how much are we collecting from the hotels? And we can't collect from the hotels because it hasn't been okayed by the state. We do have on the books a tax.
So they're paying no taxes?
No, not no taxes.
No, the hotel tax.
The resort fee.
We
Local
don't
hotel.
get hotel tax. None of that comes to us? Well, that's BS, and aren't they? Oh, that's a whole nother worm.
That's right.
Okay, well, forget that. I thought there was a whole bunch of revenue. I think it would be really
Well, I don't
great.
think you're wrong. No,
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong. There is revenue to be had from
Yes.
this.
Well, it'd be
Okay.
great if it was the
Ray, go ahead.
Ray knows.
Yes, we do get taxes from the occupancy tax along with the food and beverage tax, through the segmented tax, through the sales tax. They pay it straight to New York State on the form that they report all their sales tax, and then the state gives us a check with everything lumped together to the comptroller.
So we do make money off of
Yes.
The sales tax, but.
And the hotel occupancy
hotel and
tax. We have a segmented tax along with the food and beverage. They fill out a tax form every year. Originally, a couple years ago, I wasn't aware of the segmented tax, but that is how we get revenue from the state.
Oh, look at me, I'm smarter than the city council. So,
Is that the case?
if,
Can I ask you a question? Ray, can I ask you a question? When I joined the council in January, I was told that the resort, I just want to know if we're talking about the same thing, because there's the hotel tax, and then I think there's like a resort fee that most municipalities collect. And from what I was told, the city of Long Beach has not been approved by the state, has not been approved by Albany yet it's on the books, right, I believe?
Yeah, maybe the fine
it's in our
line
It's on the
charter.
books, but the state has not approved it
There
yet.
is a city hotel tax of
Right.
4% on the books that Albany has never approved.
right. That's
So
what-
we do not collect that.
Right, so that's different than
We
what
have
you're talking
tried.
about.
No, we have
but
the
Albany will
segmented
not
tax
pass it.
where we do collect the hotel occupancy tax.
Right.
It's, the Allegria fills a form out with their sales tax. There's a special place for a couple other cities, including the city of Long Beach, where they put the hotel motel occupancy tax. They send it to the state along with the food
Right,
and
I
beverage.
understand the segmented tax.
Yeah.
I'm saying the 4% hotel tax, I think what Allison's saying, the same thing. has still not been approved by Albany for the city of Long Beach. Is that correct?
It comes through as a segmented tax, unlike Nassau County, which gets paid directly to the county treasurer, or Suffolk County. We collect it differently.
Okay, thank you.
So there we go. So there's something to consider.
Well, I mean, the point you make
Right.
is a valid
That
point,
there
is
is-
that there is revenue out there to be recouped by the city through Airbnb or VRBO or whatever B&B company
Right.
that does this.
Okay.
One of the issues is collecting that and how the city will go about regulating that.
Well, there's a plethora of counties in New York State that are partnering, that are already doing
Yeah,
this.
right.
So
Yeah, right.
perhaps some of the due diligence could be reaching out to people.
Yeah, certainly.
That would be great.
And that will be explored.
Okay. And then one more really quick thing about data, about how you have data. That data is very subjective to.
We haven't seen it yet.
Well, I'm not very interested in it because it's the same kind of, it's the data, it's like 311 calls in the city. Like, it's the loudest people, the people who want to voice complaints. It's not evenly spread. It's also, if a police officer or whoever is responding, if they feel it warrants a ticket or being on record, like, it's very subjective. So, I take that with a fine grain of salt.
Okay.
But the people here who are speaking, they have more information. They have record logs of where people have come from, and they can quantify that. They're,
Yes.
they're-
Understood.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have confidence in you guys to handle this without having someone with I don't mean to sound like an ass when I say that, but like, I do, I'm sorry, but this is a very complex subject at the intersection of tourism, economic development, planning. There's so much going on here that this really is going to take more than politicians to work on. Hopefully the city manager will be able to.
We need an administrative state to do it, is that what you're saying?
There's some things I wouldn't want you to perform brain surgery or something, you know what I mean? I just think that
I wouldn't want
this
me to
is
perform brain surgery either.
right. This is just
But I'm
something
hoping this
that,
isn't brain surgery that we're going to do.
Well, it kind of is. This is people's lives.
Allison, that's why
All
we're
right, thank
having
you.
this meeting.
Thanks.
Yes,
We
and I
didn't
thank
vote
you
on it. We're hearing
very
everybody's thing.
Right.
We got to get out of the theme in Long Beach that we're punching bags. Most of us are up here, basically we're volunteers, okay? I mean, unless you want to switch salaries with me. And people come up here and, take out the past and, the sins of past administrations on us. We're here taking our time from our family and our lives on a Tuesday night to hear everybody's concerns. Not to be insulted, not to be blamed for your taxes. The only time I've been in office in the last 6 months, when we had taxes due, there was zero. It's the first time. I don't want to hear that from anybody. Don't come up here and use us as a punching bag and then clap. We're here as a group, a community, to come up with a solution. So I find it insulting for you to come up here and tell people you don't want them to perform brain surgery or anything else. Everybody up here is successful in
I
their own
apologize
right.
if you took it that way. What
We're
I'm saying
here
is
to
that
help
this
you,
is
and we're here as a community. That's what we're here as, a community.
this is a very complex subject.
It
that
is. That's why
needs-
we're not voting
Okay,
on it.
let's put a cap on it because
Dry.
we're not going to get any
It's not
further on
dry.
this, so let's put a cap on it. Thank you very much,
Right.
Allison.
And
Appreciate
I've
your
always
input.
only emailed you with
Thank you.
positive suggestions.
Thank you
and
very much
comments,
for your
but
input.
I will no longer do that.
And I appreciate it.
This will
Thank
be the last
thank you very much
see
for
of
your
me
input.
because of you.
Appreciate it. Yes?
Good evening. Jim Kirkland, Riverside Boulevard.
Good evening.
Long Beach was founded by a gentleman who saw it as a playland for the rich and famous. So he set out to make it happen and created something that became a playland for the rich and famous. And over the years, people would come here and spend days, weeks, months. Some of them even had homes here. People you would read about in the pages of Hollywood, Broadway, even people in politics and finances. They were very, very wealthy and very well publicly known people. And over the years, the city prospered like no other city you would believe. But it came time when people realized that there were things like planes that could take them elsewhere. And so they started flying to places like, Cuba, to Europe, to various places in South America. And they discovered other areas where they could have a lot of fun and enjoy themselves. And so fewer and fewer of them started coming here, and they started relocating elsewhere. And during that period of time, we came through a real downturn when everything just went to pot. And these magnificent estates that used to be here, that today would be worth millions of dollars, were all destroyed and gotten rid of and torn down and replaced by, cookie-cutter homes and built by, contractors that were looking to make a quick bucks. And at the time, there was hotels galore all over the city. So there was never a problem of where people were going to stay, and there was never a problem of how much it was going to cost them. But that also disappeared as people, developers came in and took those over, and they converted them into co-ops or condo developments. And so pretty soon the rental area and the day rental area disappeared, and now people no longer could come here and have a good time unless they found a place to stay while they were here. And so need sometimes creates an opportunity, and people saw that something like an Airbnb, could be a profit maker for them, at the same time help them cover their operating costs in the way of real estate taxes and home insurance and flood insurance and all of those things. And so little by little, they started to find their way to keep their heads above water. And so now the tide is turning, and we have a building on the end of Riverside where it's 40% or 50% occupied, and they have condos that go for as much as $4.5 million. So the wealth is coming back, but they're going to be living here because they can afford to buy whatever they want. But in the meantime, all the day trippers are wanting to come back and maybe spend some more time here. And so to not see that as a visionary for the future, to return Long Beach to what it once was when it first started, would be very sad. So, I can't speak to the legalities of the issue, but I can speak to, the vision that the Senator Reynolds had in the beginning. And that vision, I think, has always been retained by people who grew up here during the good times. I came here in 1970, so I actually came in when it was probably at its bottom. And
Getting
so,
close, right?
Pardon me?
It was getting close.
It was really getting close. It picked up, sort of right around that time.
Yeah.
So I hope you keep in mind, what the city could be returning to, and not put a brake on some opportunities that might make that happen.
Yeah.
So that's my
thank you.
2
And
cents.
I agree with a lot of what you said.
They will come.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I think that closes that out. You put a good cap on that. Thank you. Oh, to keep it open.
Yeah, Brendan, don't close the hearing.
Right. Oh, we're not going to close the hearing, right? The hearing stays open, and we will continue at a later date at the next meeting. So we're not taking a vote.
No, we're going to just take a vote to keep it open.
Okay.
Motion to keep hearing, item number 3, excuse me, ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding building code and Appendix A zoning. Introduced by?
I introduced it.
Okay, and seconded by?
I'll second it.
Councilmember Bendel?
We're voting to keep it open.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vice President, excuse me. And President Finn?
Yes. Thank you.
No problem, sorry about that.
No worries.
sorry, public hearing number 4, local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding apportionment of city assessment and city taxes.
So item number 4 allows our tax assessor to establish the assessed values and tax liability of units subdivided within a building and creates a fine structure for doing so, as referenced in the next item, item 5. Our tax assessor, Ray Flammer, will speak to that.
This resolution would give me the authority to follow the state law once the assessment roll is finalized or when the tax warrant is signed to split an assessment or a tax bill amongst divided units. For example, 3 condos that are under construction. For when they sell, the new owners will have an official document of what their tax liability is. Right now, it's up to the seller to give them something, and right now the county does it for the school and county purposes. This will give us the authority to do it for the city tax purposes.
Okay, thank you. I have questions from the council? No questions from the council. Questions from the public? Okay, we'll close that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. May as well stay there because we're going to 5 right now.
On to the regular calendar. Did you want to go to
Item number 5?
okay, you want to skip?
Item number 5?
Item number 5?
Yeah.
Item number 5, resolution for setting fees for the certificates and memorandums of apportionment.
So item number 5 is really married to item number 4. It sets the fees for certificates of apportionment at $100 per unit, except for 1 and 2 family homes, which will be set at $25. Our tax assessor will speak to that also.
This will be a service that we provide to, I guess, developers who are building condos to provide them with the split tax bills, the certificate or the memorandum of apportionment. So when they sell the properties, the new owner would be paying the proper tax liability.
Question from the council? Question from the public? Okay, we'll close that one. Go to number 6, please.
Item number 6, resolution authorizing settlement of certiorari proceedings.
I have trouble with that one myself. Every time.
So this item, item number 6, was removed from the last meeting. As discussed, this resolves a certiorari claim at $400,000. Mr. Flammer?
This is a tax certiorari settlement with the nursing home across the street at 425 National Boulevard. It settles the 7 years of tax certiorari claims. It has a 3-year moratorium with no interest payments. There's a $400,000 settlement that would be split between 2 fiscal years. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Okay. Question from the council?
Right. One of the questions asked by prior people was when were these grievances made? And I believe they were made timely in the beginning of the year?
Yes, the 7 grievances and tax certiorari filings, the Article 7 filings were done in a timely fashion. The note of issues were filed in a timely fashion as well, and it's been on the court calendar for a couple of years now.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the council? Question from the public? Okay, thank you. Close. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Janine Laskus, 527 West Penn. I understand accessory, that's not the problem. What were they basing their grievance on this building, which is a Park Avenue extended care, taking in millions and millions of dollars? What is their grievance on their property that we are now paying them out? What were they overassessed in? Like, to what extent? And what was it based on? It's a property, right?
The property is based on the value is based on the income approach to value, and the income is based on Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates set by the state and expenses. Before we went to settlement, we did get a fee appraiser to come in and offer an opinion of value, so we used that in our settlement. And on the note, the adult daycare they did have closed in 2020, so they're no longer receiving any income from daycare services. I believe the market value was lower from like 31 million and change to the 24,193,548.
And we have an accounting of this and an audit done of this so that we know that their numbers are the legit numbers of what they're saying that they're getting paid out by Medicare.
We didn't bring an audit in. I had an independent fee appraiser review the documents and do an independent appraisal of the property.
Okay, but you're saying that the independent appraisal of the property is also based on the amount of monies that they bring in from Medicare, and that's how it's all wrapped up into what they pay the city of Long Beach. So now they've gone against the city of Long Beach for what they were told that they had to pay, and they filed a certiorari of which they won, and now that has to be paid out.
That's right.
And of course, it's being done without.
They didn't win, it was settled.
They didn't
It
win,
was
it was
settled.
settled.
It was settled.
Janine?
So change a different word.
Excuse me,
But-
Janine?
But
It's a settlement that's hasn't been agreed to. The council is going to decide whether to agree to it, but it's something that's being discussed, and he can't really discuss too much openly because it's an open negotiation. It's a settlement that's in progress at this point.
okay, but then why would it be on the
There hasn't been
docket?
any. It's a settlement. There's no award, no court.
No,
has
I
ruled
understand
on
it very well.
Yeah.
I've had many.
No,
I've had
I
many
understand.
certioraries, so
It's
I'm
just
very
that-
well versed in what it is. But the point being is, I'm just curious to know. I see that you're looking to make it where there's no interest fines against us, such as what happened where we now have big tax
Well,
things
that's
for
part of
30
the-
years.
Part of the settlement.
Right, part of the settlement, but that the taxpayer's not going to get stuck with any interest
No.
if it takes.
No, that's part of the settlement.
Okay. And when will the settlement be done?
Well, we can vote on it.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ray. Any other questions from the public? I will close that.
Item number 7, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase calcium hypochlorite chlorine tablets for the water purification control plant.
So this item simply allows us to purchase calcium hypochlorite chlorine for our water purification plant, as Amanda said. Our Commissioner of Public Works, Joe Fabrizio, if you want to come up and speak about it a little bit. Thank you.
Good evening again. Again, this resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into an agreement with Eagle Control Corporation to purchase chlorine tablets that are utilized in the treatment process at the water treatment plant. Just so you know, we use, in 2023, we used 288 50-pound containers at $162.30 each at a cost of $46,000. And in 2024, which is the one we're potentially voting on now, they're $178 per 50-pound container, and we use 288.
Joe, I can't hear the numbers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you do that again?
Last year,
Yes.
we
You did
used
2023.
288 50-pound containers at $162.30 per container. So last year, we spent $46,742.40. This year, the new rate is $178 per 50-pound container times 288 containers. They use approximately 288 per year. So the price is approximately $51,264, which is what the resolution is for. Now, these tablets basically treat the city's water supply, so it's crucial that we have them for treatment processes. I also have Mike Flammers in the back. He's the assistant superintendent of the water treatment plant, is also here if you have more specific questions on their function in the facility. Mike Flammer
Not
from...
so much on their function, but my understanding is that, like you say, this is the only company that can sell, not calcium hypochlorite, but these particular tablets. I think you've explained that before.
Yeah, that's correct. What happens is this is a patented system that we bought in 2022, and they really recommend that you utilize these tablets, because what happens if you don't use them, they have a lot of maintenance issues. They have a lot of clogs in their pumps, in the hoses, and the lines that basically feed into the transmission system. So that's why they utilize these chlorine tablets from Eagle Control. They're actually called, I have the information here, hold on. I have all the backup as well if you'd like to look at it from the manufacturer. Hold on one second. They're called constant chlorine tablets, 3-inch tablets. And that's what's recommended for use in the patented system. And so in other words, if you use another one, and I think they have in the past, they've had problems. Maybe Mike, if you want to, maybe you can explain maybe better than I can. I'm sure Mike's the assistant superintendent at the plant. If you have any technical questions, one of us can hopefully answer them.
So I'm just, because I know we've gone through this every year, and the question... How many years? How many years?
Well, it's an annual contract, so yeah, this is a reoccurring resolution.
So,
and it's a critical...
The question is, how many years have we been using this, using chlorine?
The tablets, hold on a second, I have that actually. We switched, we used to use chlorine gas, and I think that was in 2000, was it 7? In 2007. And chlorine gas is very, very dangerous. So in 2007, we switched from chlorine gas to chlorine tablets, which is very similar to a pool, quite honestly. That's like I don't know if anybody has a pool. That's what they use. They use 3-inch chlorine tablets. And they switched, and it's a much safer, easier application for the employees.
But the question is, we have a specific machine that puts these in.
Correct.
But there are other ways to put this chemical into the water.
Not in our plant.
No, not with our machine that we have. These are the only
our
tablets.
chlorinators, you have to use the 3-inch tablets, correct? They're 3-inch? Oh, they're smaller, I'm sorry. The smaller tablets.
There's what?
The tablets that they use are...
The machines that we use at the plant were installed in 2007 at the recommendation of a consulting firm that the city hired to retrofit the plant with the easiest system that would fit in our space and provide us with the proper amount of chlorination that we need for our city's drinking water. We had the original machines 2 years ago, like Joe said. We got new machines. Last year, we had to come in front of you to ask for the resolution for this chemical. This is a sole source for this particular brand, this machine. And again, since this was recommended by an engineering firm, approved by the New York State Department of Health, Nassau County Department of Health, I personally, nobody really that works for the city is able to simply switch to a different type of chlorination machine that we would be confident would supply us with the proper amount of disinfection.
Thank you. Right. So this is the only item, this machine needs this item?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a proprietary blend.
Right.
They use certain chemicals. This is all NSF, ANSI approved chemicals. These are not the exact same things you use in your pool. The hypochlorite is, but the chemicals that you can buy at Ace Hardware or Home Depot or Amazon are generally not approved by the
Right.
standards that we need for drinking water and that we would want for drinking water.
Okay, thank you very much.
So so I'm clear, we really have no choice in this particular, buying from this particular supplier.
This is the company that we buy from, Eagle Control, is the only
Right.
distributor in the region, or on Long Island, that we can get it from.
Just-
However,
just said that, right.
I would just like to mention one other thing. Since the council did approve 2 years ago for us to buy these machines again, after the original machines had kind of reached the end of their lifespan, we were extended, although we're not official members, we were extended the same pricing as a purchasing cooperative of other water districts on Long Island that basically locks us in for a set price for a year. Every year they up the price slightly, but because it's a purchasing cooperative's locked-in price, we don't have to worry about fluctuations like we had prior to buying the new machines 2 years ago. So now we know that we will have this price until next May. Prior to that, during COVID specifically, when chemicals were going through the roof for no reason other than supply chain issues, distribution issues,
Price gouging.
we had to continuously play catch up with the amount of money we were spending. This locks us in for 1 year until next spring. The amount that we have, it's roughly 12 pallets that we get in every year, so it equals out roughly to 1 pallet per month if you average it. This will mean that we can definitely get this amount in at this price prior to the price changing in April, or in May, rather.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. Appreciate it.
When you say that it's locked into a price, Joe, you said last year it was 46,000?
Every year it changes, Mr. Lester.
So
Last year was $162.30 per 50-pound container. Now it's $178 per 50-pound container till next May. Till next May.
So it's about a 10% increase. That's what we're locked into? Thanks.
Any other questions from the council? Yes.
Do we have any 12 barrels left over, or 288, whatever it was, left over from last year?
No, we have some in stock.
We do.
Yeah, we have to.
I would imagine, that's what I'm saying, 'cause we all have snow.
We have to have them. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't want to run out of more.
Okay. I mean, not to-
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the public? Yes.
Yeah, Schaefer again, 30 West
Take
Beach
your
Street. Guys, is there a means to store more than 12 pallets? And can we hedge against the fact that the rising price, 10% a year, can we purchase 2 years in advance and store it? Or is it not going to palletize and stay?
It does have an expiration date on
Okay.
it. It's subject to humidity, heat.
Okay, so we don't have a facility that can hold it for a longer period of time?
Correct, and
Okay.
also, there is an expiration date to it, and there is also a certain amount that we're allowed to store in a certain area at a
Okay,
certain
hazmat
time.
issues. Okay, sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. No, sorry. It would be nice, right? We should do like they do on the TV shows where the guy goes over with the mic. What show is that?
Just wondering, you said that there's nothing else available in the area. Is it worth it to pay the shipping to get it from somewhere else? No? I mean, does that...
So this particular type of, this specific product, a couple of years ago, prior to getting the price guarantee that we have now through the purchasing cooperative, I actually called the manufacturer in Georgia to see if I could go around our
Right.
local distributor, and about 20 minutes later I got a call back from our distributor saying, we're the only people that can get it to you.
Well, that's what they say. I don't know if I trust the salesperson.
Well, it is very heavy, 50 pounds each, and we get 24
Right.
at a time that come on a truck. The other thing is this company, Eagle Control, who does supply it to us, they're based in Yaphank. If we had an emergency, if we couldn't get anything shipped from the distributor, from the warehouse rather, they do keep some on hand at their facility, and they have in the past driven chemicals to our plant if we get into a situation where we absolutely need something delivered. So as far as getting it from somebody out of state, shipping would be very expensive. We deal with other chemicals as well, and we have a lot of issues getting stuff into New York in general. because a lot of the shipping companies that handle these chemicals don't like to come into the tri-state area over the bridges out to Long Island because they have to deal with a lot of issues getting it through those areas.
Corrosive, right?
Correct.
But so you're saying that the system that you put in place 2 years ago, right?
It's been in there since 2007. We just got new machines for it.
But you just revamped it. So they last about 10 years?
About 10 years. They run, some are running, they rotate out, but they run 24 hours a day.
And yet the chemicals that you need to run these machines are going to increase by 10% every year.
Not every year. They increased quite a bit more than that during COVID. Sometimes it's less. It just depends on demand and how easy it is for them to get it to us.
That's just my discomfort, is that like the idea that now we seem to be locked into this company that
We have
sounds
been,
like they're a reputable company and that they've been doing the right thing, but I like options.
I will just say one thing. I'm sorry to go off topic and to speak out of turn. Maybe I wasn't asked this question, but I did go as far as to look into other chemical companies that do supply chlorine, however, not in the form that we need it in. So if I go off of weight, if we're buying by the pound, the other companies that we do deal with that are certified for drinking water chlorine by the pound, one is over $6, one is over $5.50, and these guys are a little bit over $3.50 per pound. So as far as actual what you're getting for your money, they are a good price, and we are locked into the price, so we don't have to worry about going up 20%. A few years ago, a chlorine factory exploded in Louisiana. We weren't able to get chlorine for a couple of months, so it was only what we had on hand and what we were able to get from the distributor. Things like that can increase it quite a bit more, and if you're getting it from somebody that we're not a part of a purchasing cooperative with, that can fluctuate a lot more than 10%.
Thank you very much for explaining that, too. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Very exciting stuff.
Any other questions from the public? Okay, we can close that one.
Item number 8, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase fire department system support software for the sole source provider.
So item number 8 allows us to purchase fire department dispatching software from Alpine Software Corp. It's a sole source provider for the Red Alert system, software, and a vendor which has been in use for over 20 years. It provides record keeping, reports, backup redundancy for alerting the fire department using application-based programs. We have the Long Beach Fire Department Fire Commissioner Joe Miller here who can answer questions in regards to this. Commissioner?
We have questions from the council?
Joe, what did we pay for this last year?
It was approximately 22,200 something. Or 21,200. I don't have the exact number.
Any other questions from the council?
I'm sorry, and what operating system? This works on a computer. What operating system do you guys use? Do you know?
The operating system itself? No, I can't answer that.
All right, thanks.
The contract for this was effective December 18th of 23, and the payment was due in November 18th of 23. So we're 9 months into the contract, so...
Yes, Alpine's been very generous with us.
Okay, so we're just late in paying the bill?
Yeah. Alpine's been very generous with us with bill payments. They understand the city's budgeting starting in July 1st. Okay. And they have been gracious to allow us that time. So we're a little bit late right now, so it would behoove us to...
So we're playing catch-up?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And just this vendor that you guys use, they're in the business for over 20 years. A lot of municipalities use them, to my understanding.
Yes.
That's correct, yeah.
Absolutely. We've been using them for 20 years. They've been around longer, but yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from the public? Thank you, Joe.
Item number 9, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase personal safety systems for the fire department.
So item number 9 allows us to purchase new bailout systems for the fire department, a total of 60 sets. Bailout systems allow for evacuation from buildings through windows if necessary for safety reasons, if they need to immediately extricate themselves. This is an NFPA compliant system and necessary for personal safety. Again, Fire Commissioner Miller is here for any questions.
John?
Yeah. How old are the current bailout systems we have? I mean, what's the life, like,
The
bunker
lifespan
gear
is
is 10
10
years. So it's like
and-
bunker gear?
Yes, we are at our end of life. Some of them have ended, some of them are ending right now, and some within the next year.
Okay. And these getting divided up between the
This
paid
is
and
for
the volunteer
everyone.
force?
Of
For
course,
everyone.
this is for the whole
Okay.
department.
Everyone gets issued one? Every
No,
volunteer?
all Class A firefighters, people that are reentering a fire structure, they're the ones that receive it. People that stay outside do not receive them.
So
That's
this
why
is-
we have a smaller amount, not a full contingent of 150 of them.
So this is part of their uniform, so to speak?
It's part of their PPE, yes, personal protective equipment that they're required to have. It's mandated by the state that they have it.
And we don't bid it out because we buy from a state contractor?
Right, this is on a state contract.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? From the public? Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Item number 10, resolution declaring temporary moratorium on acceptance and/or granting of subdivisions in the city of Long Beach.
So item number 10 allows us to temporarily stop granting subdivisions for 6 months while we are setting up our planning board that will address subdivisions in the future. This item was approved by the Nassau County Planning Board Commission.
Any questions or comments from this council?
No, I guess my only comment is that, Deputy City Manager, that we're on target with our planning board. I know meetings are ongoing, but it's happening soon.
Very soon. We have Patty Bourne over there working on it, and Patty, if you want to speak to it, but we should be up and running very shortly. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Patty Bourne. Yes, as a directive from this council and the city manager, we've made this a priority, and we talk weekly with our consultants from Pace University Land Use Law Center. We've had several meetings with them, specifically with the input from Scott Kemmons, the building commissioner, and Joseph Lupo, who is the counsel to the attorney and counsel to the Zoning Board of Appeals, because they have the best knowledge in the city about current codes. And I would say we're about halfway done, if not 3/4 of the way done, with reviewing the codes that would be impacted, creating the planning board, how it would then be balanced against the current zoning board, because the current zoning board, of course, since we don't have currently a planning board, has taken on a lot of responsibilities that under state law the planning board will carry. So we want to be very careful to make this done correctly, and we're going as fast as we can. And I'm looking at President Finn. It's on my calendar every week. We deal with this every week. It's complicated, and we want to make sure that we do it correctly so we don't have court cases, Article 78. Right. And we meet with the city manager on this weekly as well.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. Comments from the public, questions from the public? Thank you. We'll close that.
Item number 11, resolution to cancel the regular council meeting scheduled for September 17, 2024.
So item 11 would cancel the second council meeting in September that coincides with the New York Council of Mayors, the NICOM meeting. It's their annual meeting and training seminar in which 2 of our 5 council members will be attending, along with our city manager, our city clerk, and our city controller.
Only two? Just me and you? You guys aren't coming?
I'm not sure yet. I told them, maybe 3.
Oh, we've had our comments from the council.
Why don't we just postpone it a week?
Then it'd be back to back.
Not that close, I don't think.
Yeah, I think there was 2 or 3 people that couldn't make it.
Oh.
Comments from the public? Okay, we'll close that one.
Item number 12, resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding emergency ambulance services.
So item 12 is for publication only, and it allows for us to increase our ambulance fees charged when compared to other comparative groups. The new rates would be 75% of the current highest rates in the area, but above our current fee amounts.
We're just noticing, so there's no questions.
Right, okay. We'll go to...
Item 13, resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding building code, housing and property rehabilitation, and conservation code, and Appendix A zoning. This item is for publication only. A hearing will be held on September 3rd at 7 p.m.
Yeah, right, so
And that's it? And then-
that's it then.
That's the item.
Item 14, approval of minutes of the prior meeting of August 6, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Furamara?
Yes.
President Friend?
Yes. I also need to revisit item number 3 on the agenda. I misspoke. I should have said move to table this item. So I'll make a motion to table item number 3.
Second.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
President Finn?
Yes. So we're going to make a motion to close the meeting now?
We haven't voted yet.
Oh, we didn't vote?
Yeah.
I thought we just did.
No,
No,
we gotta
just
vote.
on tabling that one thing. We still got to vote.
I like it that way. Both.
Sorry. Item number 1, local law correcting local law V of 24, amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding city officers, their general powers and duties. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
President Finn?
The Freudian slip, yes.
Item number 2, a mandatory bond ordinance of the City of Long Beach, New York, amending and restating bond ordinance adopted April 4th, 2023. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Who will second?
I'll second. I'll second.
Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
We did three. Sorry. Local law, item number 4, local law amending the charter of the city of Long Beach regarding apportionment of the city assessment and city taxes. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 4?
I will.
I'll second.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara?
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item number 5, resolution setting fees for certificates and memorandums of apportionment. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 5?
I will.
Reinhardt.
Sorry, yes, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara?
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item number 6, resolution authorizing settlement of certiorari proceedings.
Nobody can do it.
Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
No.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara?
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item number 7, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase calcium hypochlorite chlorine tablets for the water purification control plant. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 7?
I will.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
No.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara?
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item number 8, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase fire department system support software from the sole source provider. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 8?
I will.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
No.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara?
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item number 9, resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase personal and safety systems for the fire department. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 9?
I will.
Who will second?
I will.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fiamara?
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item number 10, resolution declaring temporary Item number 10, resolution declaring temporary moratorium on acceptance and/or granting of subdivisions in the city of Long Beach. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 10?
I will. I'll second it.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
President Finn?
Yes.
Item number 11, resolution to cancel the regular council meeting scheduled for September 17th, 2024. Who will introduce and move the adoption of item number 11?
I will.
I didn't hear. Oh,
Finn.
thank you. Who will second?
I will.
Okay. Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
No.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
President Finn?
Yes.
Item number 12, resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding emergency ambulance services. Sorry. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Who will second?
I will.
second it.
Oh, hold on.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
President Finn?
Yes.
Item number 13, resolution authorizing publication for hearing of an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding building code, housing and property rehabilitation, and conservation code and Appendix A zoning. Who will introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Who will second?
Second.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
President Finn?
Yes.
Item number 14, approval of the minutes of the prior meeting of August 6th,
We already did that.
2024.
We did that.
We already did that.
Oh, we did that. I'm sorry about that.
That's how I got confused.
Sorry. Motion to close the meeting? Oh, I don't think I did.
No, I will.
Sorry.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Okay.
I did that already, too.
Who will second?
Second.
Good thing I'm not doing brain surgery tonight.
Councilmember Bendo?
Yes.
Councilmember Lester?
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Fioremara?
Yes.
And President Finn?
Yes.
On to good and welfare.
Thank you. Right. Janine Gillespie.
But on item 12, with the fire department and the fees being increased for the ambulance, the emergency service and everything, I didn't hear you have that open for comment or any questions. Was that just voted on, or was that tabled?
All we're doing is announcing there'll be a public hearing for it at the next meeting.
Okay, because I saw you make a motion, and then I didn't hear anything, and then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, and then you just...
Yeah, it was
okay.
just for
It's
public.
just an announcement that there'll be a public hearing for it on the next meeting.
Not to beat a dead horse, but on the Airbnb, I want to let you know that if you research the company, they have a lot of criteria that we as hosts can follow. I have one, and I have 3 in place. Must be 25 and older. I will not do anybody younger. 2 is you can ask for licenses. When they register to rent your home, they have to submit their licenses so that you have copies.
Like
of
a
their
driver's
personal-
license, you mean?
Driver's license, yes.
What if you don't drive?
You have an ID. It's a government ID. Everybody has ID now. That's U.S. government. So, I mean, there are a lot of things, and I know you're going to go into a work session on this, and you're saying that, you know, it's a closed session. I truly believe you should have a meeting afterwards with people.
It wouldn't be a closed session. A work session would be open to people.
We're open to the public,
Yeah.
but no comments made.
No, the hearing will continue, yes.
Afterwards.
Yeah, we didn't close the hearing.
No, I know it's not closed, but I'm saying when you go into the work session.
Right.
It's not open for public comment. We can listen.
Right.
And be here.
Yes.
But I truly believe that afterwards, you should have a meeting with hosts. Because all of us, I'm a 5-star host. I've been doing it for 3 years. There's a lot that has to go with it. It is not just your complaints that you're getting. For those of us that live on premise, as many of them do, we don't have problems because
right.
they know we're there. I'm a 2-family home. Truthfully, I have the right to rent the way I want to rent. I could rent a summer rental, but I am enjoying this. I am meeting people from all over the world. I just had people in from Switzerland, Ireland. 90% of the people that are coming into my home have some connection to Long Beach. Very few don't.
I'm sure they enjoy your horticulture, too.
They do. I have a great backyard. And I offer
know,
it
I
up
admire
for
it
a
every
glass
morning
of wine
when I
any
go by.
night they want to. They can sit out there. But I just feel that you really should reach out to hosts so that you get a full scope of how it's run. And Airbnb is willing to send a representative.
But, yeah, I agree. By the way, when I said Airbnb earlier, that wasn't to identify them as a culprit or a problem.
No,
It was
no,
just,
no. I
that's
understand.
one of the,
Listen,
one of the
parking
companies.
is an issue in Long Beach. The West
Right.
End is a disaster. It is a disaster, the West End. I don't know, there are no answers because we didn't plan anything in this city for the West End. But you also have other issues that, you know, there are the summer rentals that the realtors put in place. I have one around the block from me. They party till 4:30 every weekend, every night. The cops are being called. That went through a realtor. That's not even an Airbnb. That's your regular summer rentals. So there's a lot to be discussed on this matter, and I think you should open up another discussion with hosts so that you get a full view of how it
Okay.
goes.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night, and thank
Certainly.
you very much for your time.
you.
I know
All
it's
right.
a
Thanks,
long
Janine.
night.
Okay. Michelle Greenstein? Okay. Daniel Sheffer?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi.
Daniel Schaefer, 30 West Beach Street again. I'll be really brief. This is nothing glamorous or exciting. It's pretty mundane. I've tried desperately over probably 3 administrations just to bring it to the attention of the people that that maintain and take care of Long Beach. I simply have some simple suggestions, hopefully cost-saving and good for everybody. I'd just like to note, we've been pretty fortunate that we had all new gas mains put in throughout our whole city. That's wonderful, but what the gift on top of it was the blacktop, curb-to-curb, paved, all new roads that we didn't have to pay for directly, right? I mean, obviously we did because we pay our tax bill. But if we as the city had to do that, it would have cost us a small fortune. Simple thing to keep our roads together is a simple trailerable machine that you could buy for about $80,000, brand new. It's called the crack sealer. It's a hot glue gun that seals cracks. Our DPW does not do it. I've worked for a DPW for many years. We actually got a grant to buy ours on the North Shore. It can be done. They're not hard to run, but they will add 5 to 8 years to a road. If the subsurface, depending on the subsurface, our subsurface is a little rough. Sorry to go on and on about it, but it would save us millions and millions of dollars. The other point I begged other administrations to desperately look into is a program called the Cornell Roads Program. Cornell Roads Program is paid for by our state tax dollars, and it is a school that teaches departments of public works how to do a whole host of things, from a simple task of snow plowing to repaving roads, doing proper patchwork, trimming trees, doing drainage jobs, major construction projects. And the best part is it's free. You contact Cornell Roads Program, they'll send a crew of people down here, or they'll ask our DPW seniors membership to go up and learn some things that maybe we don't do that we could keep in-house as, again, a cost savings proposition. Our patchwork, I've heard in prior meetings years ago, we're buying cold patch at tens of thousands of dollars. That's like putting a Band-Aid on a leak in a dam. It's not going to do you any good. And there's a right way to patch roads, and frankly, I'm sorry to say, we're not doing it. We probably could use a tool or two to help us, but I could go off Beach Street in the West End right now is got a zipper line going down the middle, right? If that was maintained very simply with literally an oversized hot glue gun, it's a crack sealer, that would not be breaking apart. And we've been fortunate that we haven't had heavy winters in the past 2 years, so the roads haven't delaminated that quickly. It will come, obviously, right? So I know it's, like I said, it's a mundane BS kind of thing on the side, but those are just a few things I would love to see if we could institute, because I promise you it would save us millions and millions of dollars over a relatively short period of time in all things being considered. Cheers, thanks very much for
Thank you.
an
Right
eventful
after the
meeting. Thank you.
NICOM in Albany, I think I'll go to Cornell to get that course then. That would be pretty good, right? I appreciate what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tyler Radford. Blank. Jackie Odom.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jackie.
Jackie Odom. I guess y'all can forgive an old lady for forgetting, right? But I'm standing here today to elaborate on an affair that we had Saturday. As you know, it was advertised as a new beginning. And in that beginning, I think we do have a new beginning. I am so proud to be a part of helping the MLK Center come back to its full potentials to serve the community. I could have done this at the MLK Center, but I thought this was the appropriate place to do this. I would like to say the MLK team, the board, Sheena Carey, chair, staff, and volunteers, and everyone who took a part to make that program a success, I would like to take the opportunity to tell them publicly, thank you. I would like to say to Phil Regona, Dan Creighton, and Richard De Palma, if I was to strip you tonight of all your titles, community duties, what do you see? I would start to say, Phil, I think you're a hard worker, a sincere person, and want to see the city progress. You're such a friendly person. You stop to listen to everybody's problems. I know you sleep well at nighttime. Dan Creighton, in his absence, I found him to be a listener, and a no-nonsense person. Rich DePalma, I don't have words to describe you. And I want the public to hear what I have to say. I have never seen a man work so hard at an affair on a volunteer base, had nothing to do with it. From the time he hit the MLK Center until every table, every chair, and everything was in order before this man left. So with that, I want to tell him an extra thank you. I would like to thank John McNally for doing a lot of PR work for us, Harvey Wiesenberg, the fire department, CSCA, and all the others that spent time, the decorating committee, Janet, Evelyn B., Evelyn S., Penny, Gail, Laura, Cora, Linda, Sheena, Marie, Marshall, and Pearl. And I would just like to take this opportunity to present this to Mr. Phil Bogona. Take this to Dan. And last but not least, Mr. Richard DePalma. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Thank you for what you do at the center.
Need more Jackie Odins in town.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for what you do as well. Appreciate it. And that's a great way to end the meeting tonight. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you for the kind words. I think we have to give a hand for our Deputy City Manager to handling the meeting tonight, and Amanda as well, for these guys stepped up and did the meeting. Tried to keep my mistakes to a minimum, but we didn't, once again, but that's how it goes. Thank you, everybody. Be safe home. Can't wait to do this again in 2 weeks. Nice job, Amanda.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you. Let me shake your hand.
Oh,
Thanks a lot.
no
Bill,
problem.
thanks.
All right. Great being a deputy, not the real guy.